So, what if you could upgrade your own biology? It's a question that's leaked right out of the pages of science fiction and landed squarely in our labs and hospitals. We are on the very cusp of an enhancement revolution. And trust me, it's poised to change everything we think we know about being human.
And this quote from philosopher Nicholas Auger really hits the nail on the head. The thing is, the debate isn't really about if we should enhance anymore. His point is that we're already doing it. Right now, we are living in the age of enhancement.
Because yeah, it is 2025. And what used to feel like some crazy sci-fi blockbuster is now just documented reality. The tools to rewrite our limitations aren't on the horizon anymore. They're already here. They're in our hands. So first things first, let's just look at the tech that has made this incredible leap from pure imagination to actual real-world application. This stuff is already having a profound impact on people's lives. Today. And listen, these are not predictions. These are real-world breakthroughs. We're talking about a paralyzed man not just moving a cursor, but literally playing Guitar Hero with an implant in its brain. In one clinical trial, 4 patients with paralysis were able to send text messages using nothing but their minds. We've got researchers who've used gene editing to make human embryos resistant to HIV, and artificial retinas are giving partial sight back to the blind. This isn't the future. This is where we are right now. So you've got to be asking, how is any of this even possible all of a sudden? Well, the answer really lies in a brand new toolbox, where 2 key technologies are just driving this whole revolution forward. Okay, first up, you have the brain-computer interface, or BCI. At its core, a BCI is basically a translator for your brain. It's a system that measures your neural activity and turns your thoughts, your intent, directly into action in the real world. So how does it actually work? Well, it's basically a 4-step feedback loop. First, acquire. Electrodes pick up your brain signals. Second, decode. Powerful algorithms figure out what you're trying to do. Third, execute. Your decoded intention becomes a command for an external device, like a computer. And finally, feedback. You see the result, which lets your brain adjust and get even better. Acquire, decode, execute, feedback. That's the engine that makes it all go. And there isn't just one way to build a BCI. 2 of the leading companies, for example, are taking totally different approaches. You've got Neuralink, which uses a surgical robot to implant thousands of tiny electrodes directly into the brain's cortex. It's incredibly high resolution, but yeah, it's invasive surgery. On the other hand, you have a company like Synchron. They deliver their Stentrode device up through the jugular vein, placing it inside a blood vessel right next to the brain. It can read signals without ever performing open brain surgery. Now, the second revolutionary tool in our toolbox is genetic engineering. And this is the science of directly manipulating an organism's DNA, literally rewriting the code of life. Its potential is just about boundless, from preventing hereditary diseases before birth to, theoretically, adding entirely new biological traits. Okay, so we have these incredibly powerful tools. But this is where the whole conversation gets really complex. Because that line between healing someone and enhancing someone is getting blurrier every single day. And it's so important to understand the distinction here. On one side, you have therapy. The goal is simply to restore normal human function, to heal. Think of helping a paralyzed person move again or regenerating cartilage in a joint. That's therapy. But then there's enhancement. And here the goal is to exceed what's considered normal. We're talking about augmenting intelligence, memory, or physical strength way beyond the typical human range. It's the difference between fixing what's broken and building something entirely new.
And the promise of enhancement is just staggering. Futurists and researchers are talking about cognitive boosts to process information at unbelievable speeds, creating synthetic blood that carries more oxygen for superior stamina, using gene editing not just to prevent disease, but to actively build stronger muscles and denser bones. And then you get to the ultimate vision from projects like the 2045 Initiative, uploading a human consciousness, achieving a kind of digital immortality.
This all sounds incredible, I know, but this kind of power comes with profound, really difficult questions about our society, about our humanity. This is the price of progress. And make no mistake, this is not just some academic debate. This is big business. The global human augmentation market is projected to be worth a staggering $450 billion by 2028. There is a massive economic engine driving this revolution forward at incredible speed. So with that much money at stake, and with technologies offering such a profound advantage, the most important question becomes, who gets to use them?
Because here's the major risk, the one that keeps ethicists up at night, creating an even wider chasm between the haves and the have-nots. If these powerful enhancements are only available to the wealthy, you could create a situation that worsens social inequality on a scale we've never seen before.
And it seems like there's a real disconnect between the speed of this tech and how the public feels about it. Pew Research Center asked people a simple question. Would you want a brain chip to improve your ability to process information? And look at this. 2/3 of Americans said no. There is a deep-seated wariness here.
And the ethical dilemmas, they get even more personal. I mean, think about this. If an enhancement makes an airline pilot safer, better at handling emergencies, should they be required to get it? This gets into a tricky concept called coerced voluntary enhancement. If every other pilot gets an upgrade that improves their reaction time, can you really afford not to? Where does personal choice end and professional pressure begin?
So this brings us to the heart of the matter. The technology is no longer hypothetical. The tools are here. The choice is now ours.
We are truly standing at an inflection point in human history. For millennia, we've had to accept our biological limitations as just a fact of life. We are now moving into an era where we can actively overcome them, and that changes our fundamental relationship with nature and with ourselves.
This whole thing raises the deepest questions of all. The philosopher Michael Sandel frames the concern beautifully. He argues that the drive to design our children disfigures the relation between parent and child and deprives the parent of the humility that an openness to the unbidden can cultivate. He's really asking, what essential part of our humanity do we lose when we trade acceptance for mastery?
Ultimately, as these technologies become more powerful and more common, they're going to force all of us to confront the most fundamental question there is. What does it mean to be human? The enhancement revolution is here, and how we answer that question will define our future.